All right. Hello and welcome to this episode. So, in the last episode, we talked about recovery and its comparison to mental and physical health and kind of really understanding that parallel. In this episode, I want to talk about the idea of recovery being a practice as opposed to a destination. Now, for those of you that don't know me, again, my name is Matt Cotty. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and the founder of Restored Minds and the creator of the AAA Response. And if you're new to this channel or show, or or if this is something you've been with us for a while, would really appreciate if you would take the time to like and subscribe, as well as even share or leave a comment just to help support the channel and the algorithm for the show. Now, so when we talk about you know OCD and anxiety recovery, and again this depression and kind of stress related struggles that people have that are very common, it's important that when we talk about recovery, I think there's this myth that people think that recovery means the absence of thoughts and feelings that I don't want and I don't like. And the problem with that is that if we set that as the goal and the definition of recovery, what will happen is that we will always analyze and scan to see if those thoughts and feelings are there, which will then cause us to always be hyper vigilant to them and reactive to them, which will then lead us to do compulsions and ultimately keep these loops going, right? So, sorry about that. Car just started next to us. But when we understand that recovery is not necessarily a destination that one gets to, right? So, like when I talk about my own recovery, it's not that one day I reached this mythical peak of the summit, and all of a sudden it was like everything was fine. It's and that shift is very important, because if you see recovery as something you're trying to get to, what's going to happen is actually going to prevent you from really living your life how you want to live it, because you're going to think that recovery is this place where I get to where I have no thoughts and no feelings. And so you're always going to be trying to change and get rid of the thoughts and feelings, and it's paradoxically going to keep you stuck. Where if we understand recovery as a practice, just like we understand physical health as a practice, then we understand that it's something that you can actually practice today. This is the big shift that might really change everything on your path, on this journey here, right? Because a lot of people look at recovery as this destination they're trying to get to, not realizing that it's something they can practice exactly where they are. See, if you're having a bunch of thoughts and feelings that you don't like today, it doesn't mean that you're not recovered, quote unquote. You've just been judging the problem incorrectly. See where recovery is are you engaging in behaviors that are keeping these loops going? One of the things that I actually like about the 12-step model and treatment of addiction is that they look at recovery as an ongoing practice, and it's very intelligent, because it's like, did I it's just something, am I practicing recovery today? In the same way with good physical health, am I practicing good physical health today? When you get good physical health, yes, it's easier to maintain good physical health than it is to achieve it, but you still have to maintain it. You don't just reach good physical health and just stop doing all the stuff that you were doing, and start eating whatever you want and not exercising and all that stuff. You practice it, you maintain it. By understanding that recovery is a practice, you can really begin to understand that you can begin recovering today. And what happens is most people, when they start on this journey, especially with OCD and anxiety, they set their bar of recovery as, I don't have thoughts and I don't have feelings that I don't like. And that's what recovery becomes all about. But like I talked about in the last episode, it's recovery is about being compulsion free. It's about being behavior free, because the behaviors are the things that are reinforcing the stress response in your head. The behaviors are the things that are keeping these loops going, and these loops are the things that are ultimately keeping you, like, taking your time and energy away from doing the things you really want to do with your life. And that is the difference right there. And whereas if we understand recovery is a practice, you can choose to practice recovery right now, starting this moment, today, and saying, okay, look, I'm going to make my practice about not engaging in behaviors. And I'm going to trust that over time, that's going to produce results. If you make your health practice about, hey, I'm going to practice eating things that I know are good for me, they're going to support my body, and I'm going to practice working out. And you can trust that over time that will produce results that you want to have. You will produce good physical health. When we understand this is a practice, it empowers us to make decisions today, which is what I'm going to talk about in the next episode about, recovery being a daily choice. One of the reasons and one of the biggest things I see people get stuck in their journey in this process, their journey to recovery, is they see recovery as a destination. They see recovery as this mythical place where sheer bliss exists, and I only experience bliss, and I have no thoughts I don't like. I never feel anxious, and I never feel any things I don't want to feel. That is not recovery. This is so far from recovery. That's just a made up place that you came up with. Now, as you don't engage in compulsions more and more, yeah, sure, your anxiety will drop, right? Your thoughts will slow down. Your mind will stop producing intrusive thoughts, right? That will happen as a side effect. I will say that. Doesn't mean it will always be like that. It doesn't mean that during stressful times you might not go faster and you might not feel anxious. Again, none of that matters though, because if you decide to practice recovery, the more you practice it, the better you get at it. And the better you get at recovery, the more you start living life on your terms, the more you start engaging in things you really want to engage in and doing the things you really want to do just because you want to do them. Because you decided today I'm going to practice recovery. I'm going to practice living my life as if I was already okay. I was already where I wanted to be. That's what the practice of recovery is. And we need to stop seeing recovery as this destination we're trying to reach, as opposed to a practice that we can adopt today. And if you make that shift for yourself, that will empower you to look at today as this opportunity to practice living the life that you want to live, not waiting for the future to get to where this place you think you're supposed to get to start living how you want to live at that point. And that difference is everything, because in what keeps most people stuck is that they're waiting to get to recovery to start living how they want to live, and they put off living until they get to recovery. It's just the biggest myth that I think is out there. And again, it's not that you can't experience all the things that you think as far as a reduction in anxiety and reduction in thoughts. That will happen as long as you aren't feeding those loops. But seeing recovery as something that's out there in the future, you'll always chase it, and you'll chase it the wrong way. Recovery is a practice, and you can start right now. And if you see it like that, again, it's going to empower you to look at every day as your opportunity to practice recovery, to practice recovery. And as you keep practicing, you're going to get better and better and better at it. And so, hope that helps, and I hope that context makes sense of understanding recovery as a practice. And yeah, big shout out to Mark Freeman, who is really promotes this idea, through his work on YouTube and all the other places he publishes. But I mean, really understanding that idea of recovery as practice makes all the difference on this journey, I think. So you just wanted to share that. And so for those of you that are looking for help, we have some links right down in the notes as well, where you can start to, there's a free download you can get started with. And again, we really appreciate your support as well by liking and subscribing and sharing this with friends who you think might benefit. So thank you so much for taking the time to hang out today. And I wish you guys a wonderful day. And I look forward to continuing this series on recovery as we keep on this journey. So thanks so much, and take care, and I'll see you soon.